Hey everybody, it's Parsley here, and welcome back to my kitchen. I'm going to tell you something. Last night it dropped into the 20s along the Gulf Coast, and that means two things. We get out our fluffy sweaters and we get out our gumbo pot. So today I'm going to show you how to make a New Orleans style seafood gumbo. So let me show you what you're going to need to get started. Because this is a seafood gumbo, of course, we've got a pound or more of shrimp here. We picked these up this morning from our friend Cecil, who has shrimp by the pound, some of the best Gulf shrimp ever. We've also got some blue crabs. I've already boiled these because I needed some seafood stock, so I just threw them in a pot with a quart of water for about 20 minutes. And then drain that off. And I want to show you something about the crabs. Before you put them in to the gumbo, you're going to actually pop them in two. It's really easy. And you want to take these claws off as well. And all of that's going to go into the gumbo pot here shortly. I think a lot of people are hesitant to make a gumbo because of the roux. And in a subsequent video, I'm going to show you how to make a roux from scratch. But actually, I just picked up some pre-made gumbo roux and poured off a cup. I may use this whole entire cup of roux for this gumbo. Tastes great. I sampled it to make sure that it was authentic, and it is perfect. The leftovers just go in your refrigerator, and you can actually store that for up to a year, so that's kind of cool. You're going to need the Trinity, and here on the coast we can actually go buy this pre-made, and some of you will find this in your freezer sections as well. But the Trinity is onion, either white or yellow, diced up, bell peppers, and they can be green or red or a mixture of both. This one actually has both in it, and some green onions. That's your Trinity that you start your gumbo with. Pretty easy to make on your own, but when I can just go buy it fresh and prepared, hey, I'm going to do it. I know I said this is going to be a seafood gumbo. However, we like to add a dimension in flavor. So we're going to add some diced smoked pork sausage, and we're going to add some tasso. So what's tasso? It's actually a seasoned and smoked pork. So this just gives it another dimension, which is what New Orleans cooking is all about. You're going to need some seasonings on hand, and one of my all-time favorites is from Paul Prudhomme. It's called Seafood Magic, and I like it because it's not too spicy. It just gives you that level of flavor that you're looking for. Some other things that you'll want to have on hand: smoked paprika. This just gives that a little bit of smoky taste that people associate with gumbo. Also some sea salt and fresh ground pepper. I'm going to add some parsley. And then the infamous gumbo filet. Filet is basically sassafras. It's dried sassafras, and in our household, we add it after the gumbo is complete and on the table, and let people add it if they want to add it. So we're going to put all of this together, and I'm going to show you just how easy it is to make a New Orleans seafood gumbo. All right, I am stirring this roux, and let me just show you. This is the goal. This is what you want to create if you're making your roux from scratch. It needs to look like that beautiful chocolatey, Hershey chocolate color and be lump free like this one is. Like I said, I will teach you how to make a roux from scratch. However, I want you to understand you're going to need 45 minutes to an hour of stirring. So that's what goes into making a great roux. So now that this roux is heating up, let me make sure it's hot enough. Oop, yeah, burn my fingers. I'm going to add the Trinity. Okay, and one thing that I learned watching Chef Paul Prudhomme cook was to always season in layers. So I'm going to add a little seasoning here to the Trinity. And because it's salt-based, it's going to bring out some of the flavors. So we're going to cook this down. As you can see, that roux is just absorbing into the veggies, or the veggies are absorbing it, really. And so now we're going to get this really thick, beautiful base for your gumbo. On the back, in the back pot, normally I'm going to tell you if we were making a big, huge gumbo for, 20 people or whatever, I'd have a huge Magnolite pot sitting up here on the stove, but we're going to use this one because this is a pretty small gumbo that we're making. And in that pot, I've got 3 quarts of seafood stock. And again, I made my own. I used the shells from the shrimp and also the crab. This is looking really good, y'all. You just want the veggies to soften up a little bit before you add them to the gumbo pot. And I'm going to just add a little bit. I had some reserve liquid on the side. I'm going to add a little bit just to start thinning this out. Remember, with a roux, it's a fragile thing, and you do not want to burn it, because a roux is all it is flour and oil. And if you cross that line and burn that roux, even a pre-packaged roux, you're going to have to start over, because it will absolutely ruin the taste. All right, this roux is looking fantastic. And so what I'm going to do now is add it to the stock that is simmering in the back. I did use a little bit of Paul Prudhomme's Seafood Magic in the stock. Remember, I talked about seasoning in layers, and a little bit of sea salt. So I'm going to spoon some of this in. This is a lot of roux, so I may just put some on the side. Let me just stir in about half of it and see what that looks like. And the roux is really the thing that's going to thicken up this gumbo a lot. So let me just stir that around and switch over to this wooden. It's looking beautiful. We may go all in with that roux. So here is your gumbo base with all that roux. I ended up using all of it, so it's looking gorgeous. We're just going to let that come to a nice boil. And meanwhile, on the other burner, if we can just move over just a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and throw this tasso and sausage into that same cast iron skillet that I did the roux in and the vegetables. Once again, if you don't have a cast iron skillet, go run out today and get one. It's one of the most important tools in a kitchen, in my opinion. And if you're going to make a gumbo, you're going to need one to do your roux and also to cook your sausages. This one is probably 80 years old. Came from my mom's kitchen, and look at it. It's got all that good seasoning. It's beautiful. I've had people try to buy it off of me, and I'm like, no, no way. So we're going to let this just kind of warm up, basically. Render the fat. There was some fat on that tasso, so we're going to activate it so the flavors will really come out. And then I'm going to add that to the gumbo. While that's cooking down, I'm going to drop the crab in. So this crab is already cooked, but putting it back into the stock is just going to add so much flavor. So there you go. Now you may be wondering, well, what about the shrimp? Look at that gumbo. Oh my gosh. And can y'all hear that sausage in the background? Wow. My kitchen smells so good. I am so glad it got cold and we decided, all right, it's time to cook a gumbo, because it is smelling great. Okay. Okay, so the tasso and sausage is cooked, and I'm going to start adding it to the gumbo. So I'll just take a second, and once we do that, I'm going to show you one more key step before we're going to cap this up and just let it simmer. So, whoops. Marcello was hoping that would fall on the ground. Okay, so I'm going to just give this a stir, and then I really encourage you to have a couple of tasting spoons. You can see I've got quite a few. Something my mom taught me is to just taste as you go. So I'm going to let that cool for a second, and I'll know, do I need salt? Do I need garlic? What do I need? So that's tasting really good. I did add a little paprika. I think I'm going to add a little bit more, just because I don't think you could ever have enough of that. And I'll come back in about an hour with a clean spoon and taste this again. So the key to a great gumbo is letting it cook low and slow. So I'm going to turn this way down and just let this go for an hour, stirring occasionally and tasting it. Once we get it to the point that it's where we love the way it tastes, we'll add the shrimp. Shrimp cook in like 2 or 3 minutes and you're done. So that's the next phase. We're going to clean out the kitchen and see you soon. All right, everybody, the gumbo is finished. Take a look at this. Look at the crab, shrimp, tasso, sausage. We've got some Louisiana rice in there, sprinkled with parsley, and I added a little bit of filet. So I can't wait to dig in. You may be wondering, okay, so what do you serve with this? We always make a potato salad, and I'll do a video on that, on how to make an easy potato salad to go with this. And my Cajun friends actually put the potato salad right in the gumbo. That is not a New Orleans thing, but that is definitely a South Louisiana thing. So don't be afraid. Go ahead and make a gumbo. It's going to be like 28 tonight. This is the perfect thing to be eating. And if you enjoyed this recipe, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. I'd really appreciate it. We're coming out with more fun things next week. Thanks so much, and see you next time.